Solar power is surging across the country and right here in Western Mass.
But before you sign any contracts, you need to make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. Tonight, Western Mass News shines a light on some of the shadier aspects of the solar power business and how to protect yourself from getting burned.
Drive through any neighborhood here in Western Mass and you're bound to see them. Rooftop solar panels. Almost as numerous are the many companies now offering them, promising you everything from affordable and renewable electricity to increased property values and selling advantages. For Paul Mashevsky, who bought solar panels for his former house in Agawam about 7 years ago, the green energy option made sense at first. Plus, he says the salesperson assured him if he ever decided to sell his house, which he wasn't planning to do, but if he ever did, the panels wouldn't be a problem. In fact, they'd be an asset.
But they told us, you know, if you buy it, don't worry if you sell. It's the easiest process to sell your house with solar panels. It's actually a selling point. People love it. It's in any kind of loan you might have is transferable. So we're like, oh, this is great.
And so, too, was the difference he saw on his monthly electric bills. As far as he and his wife were concerned, they weren't only saving the environment, they were also saving money.
Oh, it generated so many kilowatts, and we would every month look at our bill and look at what we would be spending on the stuff. So you know, it's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
You were happy with it?
We were happy. And then we went to sell the house.
And that's when the darker side of some solar companies revealed itself, because as it turned out, Paul couldn't sell his house.
Even the real estate agents don't really know a whole heck of a lot about the ins and outs of it because each contract is unique.
Yeah.
And so when we went to go sell, I went from loving solar to hating it.
See, even though he decided to buy instead of lease his own solar panels, he was still paying them off on a loan. And while he was assured that the loan was transferable when he sold his house, that's not what happened because the loan holder refused to transfer it to the new buyers. So Paul was left with a difficult choice: pay off the loan out of pocket for more than $30,000 or cancel the sale of his house.
I had a lien on my house, it turns out, so the whole loan had to be paid off before I could even sell the house.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
They didn't tell you that?
That was not very explicit.
Which is why he turned to longtime real estate attorney Christine Webster out of West Springfield.
I just think this stuff is egregious because almost 100% of my sellers tell me that when they signed up for the solar panel leases, they were told, if you sell your house, no problem. The rep represented to them, the new owner will just take it over, it's easy.
But the complex and confusing tangle of solar power contracts, sometimes 40 or more pages long, isn't easy to understand at all. And that's a problem Webster says is becoming more and more common.
I told you, Chris, when I took an opportunity to look through the solar panel leases, I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, as an attorney for over 25 years, I feel like they're so difficult to sift through.
Webster is the first to admit not all solar companies are the same because not all their contracts are the same. But the lease or purchasing contracts she's dealt with can be a nightmare, tying homeowners into a decades-long agreement with a solar company that may not even be around for that long. And if your solar company goes out of business, you guessed it, you're still on the hook.
My clients were saying, well, I have these solar panels, I'm still paying this lease payment, but the panels don't work. They would call companies to see if somebody else would agree to service the panels. No one wanted to service the panels.
So they're paying for panels that don't work?
They're paying for panels that don't work. The companies are no longer, they're defunct, and they can't get anyone to service it.
For Milagros Johnson, a local consumer advocate, it's a familiar refrain. Consumers getting blindsided with the promise of cheap energy, but the all-too common experience of an expensive reality.
I've seen the contracts, right? I've seen my friends, family friends have them, and I've seen the contracts, and they're very, very detailed with a lot of fine print. Who reads those?
And that right there is the crux of the problem, because whether you read it or even understand it, once you sign it, you're locked in.
Anything that consumers sign, whether they're buying a vehicle, whether they're buying an appliance, or they're buying a service or signing into a membership, they're not reading. They're going by what the salesperson tells them. And let me tell you, more often than you think, there's a big difference.
For Paul, that difference ended up costing him tens of thousands of dollars to finally get out of his solar contract and eventually sell his house. But as far as his new home,
we won't put solar just because you never know what happens. Life changes, and if you have to sell the house, I'd be concerned about selling the house with solar on it and be in the same situation again.
And again, not all solar companies use questionable practices, but you do need to do your homework and read the contract. To learn more about the pros and cons of solar energy, there are plenty of resources available online, and for a list, just head over to our website, westernmassnews.com. My goodness, buyer beware.